Good evening, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. Yes, we are a few minutes late because, well, sometimes things come up in the practice of law, and sometimes clients don't care that you have other things to do. You need to just do your stuff and move along. So, anyway, it is our Tuesday night live show. Obviously, we're trying to get back on track. Last week we did it on Wednesday night because, well, how did we say it? Well, I messed up the schedule all for the last 2 weeks. We almost didn't even put up any videos, but now we're back. Now we are bringing you the Letecia Stauch trial, streaming that live from beginning to end. Yeah, tough trial to watch. You know, anytime there's dead children, that's always bad situation. And it's really coming off as Letecia Stauch is not a very nice person. She killed the stepson, Stanton Gauck. She all but admitted so. I don't think we have to say, oh, we'll give her the presumption of innocence because she said she did it. Bottom line, okay? She did. That's why her plea says not guilty by reason of insanity. That's an affirmative defense saying I did it, but I couldn't form the requisite intent. So there you go. Okay. Then obviously we have the Lori Vallow trial, the one that seems like everybody's waiting to get into. I can honestly say I have been trying and I have failed miserably, but we have people that are going to try tomorrow morning to be able to get me into the trial of Lori Vallow. Now, I have tried, okay? I have the link here to try and get into the Daybell trial. The plan is, unfortunately, the plan was always going to be to take Frank, but unfortunately, I can't do that tomorrow because Frank's got to run the show. He's the hardest working man in show business. But we are going to try to head out first thing in the morning, and we are, see, it just kicks me out. It always kicks me out. I'm trying here right on the little site right now. So we're going to try. I don't think we're going to be able to get an actual seat. I don't think we'll even get into the viewing room. But if people continue to get kicked out, maybe there's a way for people to let, a guy like me in. Maybe I should just show up on the doorstep and say, excuse me, do you know who I am? This is Scott Reich from Crime Talk. Just kidding. Nobody cares. But it would be good. I'd like to see the media circus outside. And who knows, maybe something will happen. Maybe there is, I'm putting this out there. Maybe there is a deputy. Maybe there is a clerk that works in Ada County that says, hey, we can trust Scott Reich. He is an officer of the court. Let me get you a spot in the courtroom. Okay. Plan is we're going to depart, I believe, hopefully, be at the airport at 6:30 in the morning, pull the plane out, go wheels up, should be there a little after 9. I have a car waiting for me when I get there, and the nice gentleman that helped me on the phone said that it's about a 7-minute drive from the airport to the courthouse. So that'll be good. So maybe we can get a couple of interviews while we're there. So if somebody says, hey, Scott Reich, I too cannot get in. I want to hear about your pain. I want to know what you're thinking, why you're there, particularly if you've traveled. It's going to be a one-day thing. Try to get back. It's just, we're going to play it by ear, totally playing it by ear, but we're going to go check out the Lori Vallow trial tomorrow. And I will be trying to document this and sending it to Frank. So when we get there, we can he can put it all together or something like that. Whatever magic Frank does, you would not believe the things that I generically assemble, and then Frank puts it together. See, we have all these things going behind the scenes. My computer's not working. I'm getting some echo here. And of course, the delivery of the dinner for the Crime Talk crew has just arrived, which can be completely distracting. And of course, I was hoping it was going to arrive early enough that I could eat before we went on the air, but obviously that didn't happen either. We'll see. Can we see your dog? The treats are right there. Yeah. Miss Winnie the Bulldog is at home with the lovely Miss Kristen. Miss Winnie the Bulldog is the most spoiled dog in the world, but probably one of the most loved as well. Not spoiled in the sense that she runs around and terrorizes people. No, not like that. She's just spoiled. I grilled some steaks the other night, some nice fillets, big, thick steaks. And Miss Winnie the Bulldog finished those up. Now, okay, I'm not sure if this is truth or fiction here. Lori Hellis was told by the judge to leave the courtroom, even though there was no photos on her phone. She had to watch from the overflow room. Now, I was watching some of the various Twitter feeds, and they said that somebody got kicked out for disruption. I had no idea if it was Lori Hellis. Not even sure if that's actually true or not. But, that is something we'll look at. I know Lori was out there. Gigi, I think she's doing work for Law and Crime. We did some talks with her previously, and she's out there. So maybe we'll be able to run into them, maybe catch them on the break, since I probably won't be able to get into the courtroom, even though I have tried. We'll see what they say. Good question. Why do defense attorneys say okay, like they are confused after every question? Unless they're trying for some sort of dramatic effect, they shouldn't say okay. That is like saying after every time you speak or every time you think you're going to say a word. So if they're saying okay, it's probably just a bad habit that they have developed. I would bet the attorneys don't even know that they're doing it, but it's probably they're just nervous. If somebody actually played it back and made them listen to that, they would be much more aware of that. How do I know that? Well, I know that because years ago, I think I was still in the Marine Corps, we did the NEDA training where they literally, you do something and they videotape you and they critique you and tear you down and then they build you back up again. But one of the things you really notice is, do you say, do you pause, like, things like that. They really try to pound that out of you so you do not use it. It's just a nervous pause. And I'm sure the attorneys are using that. There's nothing there. I usually like when somebody says something on stand that nobody expected, or is that your final answer? All right. Okay. Here we go. Things are going to get really good. So we'll just, we'll see. Scott, you have to go online at 8 a.m. and seats are gone within 1 to 2 minutes. I heard two different people say that. And like I said, we've been trying. And you have to do it 8 a.m. the day before the next day. So, I mean, it's just ridiculous. So we will try. Yeah, we will try to do it the old-fashioned way. If that doesn't do it, I will pay top dollar. I guess you probably have to have a reservation. You have to probably show proof of who you are, right? Otherwise, you create a black market for the seats in the courtroom. And we can't have that now, can we? Because I'm willing to pay some top dollar to get in there. Obviously, legally, not willing to break any rules. No, we're not going to do that. But, those are the kinds of things, capitalism should prevail in a situation like this. An attorney on another stream said they did that on cross to stop the witness from continuing to give more information than they asked. Listen, if you are doing a good cross-examination, the only words that should be coming out of a witness's mouth are yes and no. And if they say, I can explain, no, save that for redirect. That is the sign of a good cross-examination. You may tailor your cross-examination so that every word that comes out of that witness's mouth is yes. You were there on the night that JJ and Tylee were killed. Yes. You directed Alex Cox to do that, didn't you? Yes. All those types of just boom, 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 or no, 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 no. Good cross-examination. The witness doesn't say anything. You control them. You say, I appreciate that, but this is cross-examination, and you tell the witness, I asked you a yes or no question. You may answer yes or no. If the witness says, can I explain? You say you can answer yes or no, and that's what redirect is for. You know, sometimes you get into this, well, how am I going to look in front of the jury? Yeah, listen, I think jurors are going to do their job well. I have never met a jury that I didn't think did the right thing most of the time. Every now and there's an exception, and there's always a little sting when you lose a trial. But for the most part, you think about it and you reflect and like, yeah, they got it right. Yeah, that's the way it worked out. So just go ask your questions. Your job is not in there to make friends. Your job is not in there to be liked. Your job is to bring out the facts that they cannot be ignored by one way or the other, or bring those facts out so that people have to listen to those facts that maybe they haven't been brought out. Remember, it's the defense attorney's job to talk about the elephant in the room. That's the best part about this job. You get to ask the questions and everybody's like, oh, I don't know. And you're the guy or woman that gets to get up there and say, what's really going on? I mean, I had a case the other day where I said something. The judge still had a mask on. I guess for whatever reason, I'm not judging. She may have an immune deficiency. I don't know. But she had a mask on. But I could read her face through that mask. I said something, and it's my client is accused of various things, and I was like, Your Honor, this is not what it purports to be. We've done the investigation. We've seen their phones, etc. This equates more to a summer of fun more than being kidnapped and hauled off to do various things against their will. And the judge comes like, really? I'm like, Judge, you may not like it, but it's coming in a trial, so deal with it. Okay, Mama Pink. Scott, the good Lori was on another channel saying defense accused her of taking photos. She was removed and will be meeting with Judge Boyce in the morning. Okay. Yeah, that's what I saw from some of the tweets. Thanks, Mama Pink. Appreciate the super chat as well. It's just the defense, I think, doesn't like Lori Hellis. I mean, let's face it. We've had Lori on the show. Heck, I don't know. Can we get her on the show now, Frank? See if she's available. I know she's probably busy, but we can at least reach out to her. Sorry, it's been a kind of a crazy day. It always seems like a crazy day. There's just not enough hours in the day. But we'll just try to go directly to the source. And I'd be curious to see, if the judge knows who she is. I think the judge doesn't particularly like Lori Hellis. Not that I've seen their interaction, but just the condescending tone in which he denied her motions for access to all of the closed proceedings, which comes to one of the points that I want to talk about tonight. Okay, we started the actual trial last week. Obviously, the seating of the jury, it went through Monday through Friday, and then here we are on Tuesday. Tomorrow's going to be Wednesday. So we've had basically 6 days of trial. Other than the manner of death for Tammy Daybell, which was previously not released, has there been anything new or particularly shocking to you all? Is there any reason why you think Judge Boyce had to conduct this case with such secrecy? I haven't seen or heard anything that's been particularly earth-shattering, embarrassing, that would have resulted in an unfair trial. Has anybody? Am I missing something? I don't think so, but let me know. Which kind of goes back to my other point. It's like I've never seen anything like it, where most of these hearings are conducted in chambers. All the records are sealed, all the transcripts are sealed, and tell me what revelations have been so titillating that it would be embarrassing and shock the conscience or anything along those lines. I haven't seen anything. Let's see here. Oh, Kathy Sharp gave us a $15 super chat just because. Thank you much. And another one as well. Thank you. Don't ask for super chats, but they do certainly help highlight when stuff's going on. That goes by so fast here on the comments and things like that. So anyway, so please let me know. And I think we're going to open up the phone lines as well because hey, we normally save this for our Patreon members. As you know, you can become a Patreon. We do a little private show after this, and you get to call in and ask anything. We talk about anything that you want to talk about. Doesn't even have to be about the law. We'll talk about it because it's a Patreon show. But in the Patreon show, you get to call in. So we're going to do kind of a special thing because I want to really hear what people are thinking thus far through the Lori Vallow case. I am not surprised. Basically, this is the condensed version that we have seen at the preliminary hearing when this case originally was at preliminary hearing before the indictment. As you may recall, Chad Daybell went to preliminary hearing before he was indicted on the 3 counts of murder. It was as it related to the destruction or tampering with the corpse and things like that. So what is there? I mean, really, Judge Boyce? Really? Tell me if somebody can. I don't know. And, we're only 6 days in. We got what, 6 weeks, another 6 weeks to go? Tell me what has been so surprising and tell me what has been so complicated about this case. The 3 years have gone by and we still, we're just now getting a trial on one of the 2 defendants in this case. Let's see. Cheyenne wants to know, are you posting today's audio? My understanding is that it is rendering as we speak. It's processing by YouTube. I can assure you, one of the reasons is we were finishing up here. I was finishing a call before I came back here. Frank had received it. He waits patiently every day so that he can get that and upload it, not only to our YouTube page. It goes everywhere, right, Frank? It goes YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Rumble. I think that's it. And then we upload it on the podcast as well. So any of your favorite podcasting apps, you can listen to it as well. So he does that every day. He does a great job. And I don't think it's any surprise. We've had more comments that said, hey, we came over to watch the Letecia Stauch case because you have the best quality picture and audio. Who does that? That's Frank. He's crushing it. He's doing well. Let's see. Someone says, I didn't think Roku was still around. Yes, they are. And we have a channel. We do. So you can watch it on your TV or listen to it on your TV. You got it. If you're going to go big, you got to go big. You just can't focus everything on one thing. We're a small operation here, but we have plans to go big. Kappa, it's hard to listen to Lori's Lore being so out of breath. Maybe a style thing. I don't know. Maybe he's just a thing. It's a style. If that's his style, I don't know. Mr. Thomas, I swear, looks like Chris Farley. Every time I see him, I just think Chris Farley. Kind of got a suit jacket, just a little too tight. Oh, I'm Chris Farley, Mr. Archibald, Very different opening statement. We talked about that last week. Very, very different. Nowhere have I ever done an opening statement where I kind of give my biography. Well, Mr. Archibald said I've done 27 cases of homicide and most of the cases resolve, but we couldn't do this one, and that's where you all come into the picture. And I'm a criminal defense attorney, and I had my office blown up, but I do it to protect the Constitution. I can get that. I mean, I've never heard an attorney actually get up and do that. What relevance is that to anything? That's like saying, "Hi, my name's Scott. I'm a cancer. I like long walks on the beach. I like winning not guilty verdicts, and whatever." I mean, you just don't do that. I was blown away and kind of introduced everybody. Mr. Thomas as well. It just didn't do that. Listen to the Colby Ryan speaking to Lori in prison and cried. Well, that's going to be on today's audio. You can hear it all. But, here's the other thing. We talked about what has been the reason for such secrecy around this case. I've seen nothing. I've heard nothing thus far that this would be embarrassing to anyone. I've heard people say, oh, they're trying to protect the church. They don't want to embarrass the church. But then people say, hey, the LDS church, yes, they believe some of this stuff, but they don't believe all this crazy stuff about the light and the dark and killing of the zombies and yada, yada, yada. Okay, so you would think if that's not the case, why would they not just want to get that out there? I don't get it. So I don't know. I think it's really odd. And if I was defense counsel, assuming there's a conviction, not saying she will be, but let's just assume hypothetically that she's convicted, I would think one of the appellate issues would have to be not only the speedy trial, but the fact that everything was kept in secret. Now, I don't know if Mr. Archibald was objecting to any of that. It sounds like Chad Daybell's attorney has been objecting to that. But if Lori Vallow's attorney didn't object to it, then it's waived. I mean, but that's a huge thing. I mean, trials are not conducted in secret. Motions aren't conducted in secret. We're not some communist dictator thug country just yet. Okay. We do things in public. At least, hell, even in Russia, they give show trials for God's sakes. But it's supposedly done in public. Everything was decided beforehand. It's just crazy to me. It's just crazy to me. Well, who would get the movie deal? There's no movie deal. Nobody has the rights to it. This is all public information. Whoever writes the first book that somebody thinks is worthy of a television thing, and hell, I mean, remember when the Chris Watts stuff came out? They made a video with nothing but everything that had been placed on the internet. And they kind of did the same thing here with all the stuff that they had about, Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell on the internet. It was the Netflix series. And, Lori Vallow's son participated in that, as he testified to today. He said he didn't get any money out of it. I don't know how many people bought his book, but, you just don't know. I don't think it's a movie deal. I just don't get it. Oh my God, Scott, you're channeling Letecia with yada, yada, yada. Sorry. Yeah, that's just the way sometimes you do. It's been a long couple of weeks. I'll be honest with you. It's been a long year, hasn't it? I mean, we're almost through April, but normally I go somewhere and you normally go somewhere at Christmas, go away. That's the kind of the week is quiet. But I had all these trials set at the first of the year. A couple of them went, a couple got continued. Then it all got pushed to end of April. I was supposed to be in trial all this week, and already the week is filled up. It's amazing. That trial got continued to next month. Then I got another 2 trials set in June, July, and then August. I got a 3-week trial that's set to go. It's just, I don't know. It's been a long week. long year, and it's only April. Oh, and don't forget, today's tax day. Official tax day is April 18th. Don't you just love giving all of your hard-earned money to the government so that they can efficiently spread it out to people? Yes. I mean, there's so many creative ways that the government has come to spend everybody's money. You just really have to appreciate and admire the way that they can do that. Because, obviously, there's nothing that you could possibly do if you didn't have to pay additional taxes for all of that. Yeah. But I will say it's not as bad as it was last year. Last year it was ugly. All right, we got a call, Frank. Who are we talking to? No name. Hello, no name. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Good evening.
I'm sorry, I didn't put my name in. My name is Teresa.
All right, Teresa, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Michigan.
And what's on your mind?
Okay, I want to know if you can explain to me what a proffer is and why Harley Hunt got one in the Letecia Stauch case.
Sure. A proffer is basically when you believe that, or the government believes, or the defense believes that your client may have some exposure. Now, obviously, Harley is Letecia Stauch's daughter. She was told to come home with cleaning supplies, clean the place up, and then they skedaddle out of town when the heat starts turning on, but she had her own reasons. A lot of people thought she was involved in some way, at least maybe as an accessory after the fact, possibly of disposing the remains of young Gannon on that underneath the bridge there in Florida. So what you do is you go and you do a proffer. And the prosecutor says, listen, I'm going to give you this letter, and it's going to say you're going to come in and you're going to tell me truthfully what really happened. And in exchange for that, for us to find out the truth, we're not going to use that against you. And based upon that, we'll either decide to file charges, maybe dismiss charges, or make you some sort of better offer. And there may be an agreement to cooperate. It sounds like Harley went in, talked, told him what was going on, and said, hey, I kind of asked some questions, and my mom told me don't bother me, slap me, abuse me, whatever. Didn't really talk about it. We were just leaving. And I really believe that she had not harmed young Gannon in any way. And obviously that interview is memorialized since it's a part of the discovery, part of the investigation that the district attorneys and the investigators do. It has to be turned over to the defense so they can use that. And obviously the prosecution uses that to prepare for their testimony because they believe that is in fact the truth. The classic case of a proffer is, if you think back, I don't know if you're old enough, but if you can remember Monica Lewinsky, she is the one, that went in and had the tryst with President Clinton in the Oval Office, and she had the little blue dress. Well, they found that out because she gave a proffer, which is, hey, let me tell you what I did. Maybe I did something illegal, but I want to get immunity for myself. You can't use it against me. Oh, and by the way, I may have some documents, or in that particular case, a little blue dress that may not had some of the president's DNA on it. So does that explain what a proffer is?
Yes, because I was just confused between that and what immunity is. So to me, it sounds like it's almost the same thing.
I mean, it is. There's different types of immunity, general and use immunity. But normally, if you have a client that you think participated or in a situation, your goal is always to try to get the client the best deal you can. And sometimes you got to say, hey, man, my client's willing to cooperate, but we want immunity. Don't charge us. Well, it usually depends on how badly they need you. Maybe they won't give you complete immunity, but they will reduce the charges or something along those lines. So that's probably, Harley was certainly somebody that police were probably looking at quite closely, and they just wanted to know. She hasn't been charged. Frankly, she was a young kid, naive, I think, trusted her mom. Mom says didn't do anything wrong. Why are they all coming after us? They're being mean to us. Okay, are you sure, Mom? Slap. Okay, I'm not going to ask any more questions. I have no, she testified she had no memory of her leaving the hotel room when they were in Florida. So she can't say when she left or if she disposed of that. She says she didn't see that suitcase when they were traveling, unless they can prove otherwise, it's tough to go against that. So they needed her. I mean, frankly, they needed her. The prosecution needed her to be able to explain, kind of the series of events afterwards.
Yeah, because really there was really nobody else that could do it because she was closest to Harley over Al or anybody because she was gone all day.
Mm-hmm.
The next day she was gone all day, and Harley even kept asking her where was she at, and she wouldn't tell her. So I just thought maybe through the long car ride she might have told Harley something. That's why it took Harley like 2.5 years or whatever to talk to the police. So that's why I just wanted to know the difference between the proffer and the immunity. But it sounds close to the same to me.
It's very.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very similar. And at this point, short of homicide, the statute of limitations would have run for Harley. Statute of limitations for felonies in Colorado, other than homicide or sexual assaults, is 3 years. So they just passed.
Okay,
that would have been in
she
January.
would have been,
So she wouldn't technically need it.
She would have been safe anyways.
She could have got up on the stand and said, "I did it," but.
Oh, well, their defense, Letecia's attorneys are making it sound like she was a bigger part of it.
Yep.
But
they certainly were trying.
Okay, thank you, Scott.
Have a wonderful night.
Thank you for answering my question. You too.
Thanks. Have a great night. Another call, Frank?
Yeah, we got another call.
All right.
No name on this one as well.
All right. Who do we have?
Kurt from Michigan.
Was it Kurt? Is that right?
Kurt, yeah, K-U-R-T.
All right, great, Kurt. A lot of Michigan. What's going on?
Hey, Scott. I just long-time fan, by the way. But my question was, Letecia Stauch's defense of insanity. It seems very I'm just wondering, as an attorney, a seasoned defense attorney, is there anything else they could have gone with? Because it just seems like an insanely weak defense. I can't remember a defense that's just been torn to shreds so easily because they can prove she knew right from wrong, and that it just seems like they just don't have an insanity defense, even though they're trying to say that.
Yeah,
evidence yet.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. I wish I had some, inside knowledge as to that, but I do not, as far as what they know. But, if you read the original affidavit, Letecia Stauch gives 20 different versions of the events, and maybe I'm exaggerating with 20, but it's pretty high up there. It was this, it was that. I was gone. It was a guy came that was fixing the house and did it. Yeah, it was excuse after excuse after excuse. And then you had a bunch of situations where, just the consciousness of guilt, leaving town, not cooperating. She just comes across as very guilty, right? The whole cleaning supplies. Why do you need cleaning supplies? If it was an accident, what are you so worried about hiding it for? It's just pretty common sense type of stuff. And, she's tried to play this NGRI game throughout. It was early on where the public defenders, within a couple of months on the case, raised competency. Now, remember, competency is different than not guilty by reason of insanity. Competency, they're similar. Usually people that are not competent usually have a generally much better chance at NGRI. Now, I don't have any specific numbers for you, but most cases for NGRI don't go well for the defense. My experience in 28 years of practicing law, had 2 cases where people said, we're going NGRI. Both of those cases resolved with an agreement or stipulation by the prosecutor because they looked at him and everybody agreed this person's crazy. They got a mental disease or defect and they cannot form the requisite intent to commit this crime at the particular date and time. Maybe they're they're better with meds or something along those lines. But in those particular kids' situations, everyone's like, all right, we're going to stipulate NGRI. He's going off to Pueblo, which is where our state mental health hospital is. When it goes to trial, we know the defense kind of did an evaluation because they thought it was an NGRI plea without being a plea. So the judge basically ordered it. So she had all these interviews. So we have at least 2 competencies and at least 1, I believe, evaluation related to NGRI. And none of those came back well for Letecia Stauch. Now, I don't know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we have the credentials of the expert for Letecia Stauch. She's, practicing psychiatrist, and she says that she has this associative disorder, where basically it's like kind of a out-of-body experience. You don't know what's going on, and I've heard of people saying that. I get it, but the bottom line is it's going to be a tough road to hoe. Hell, her own daughter said today she was shocked that her daughter went NGR, that her mom went NGRI, excuse me.
Yeah.
And she never would have thought, oh, my mom was crazy, right? Not any of these people interacting. You're so crazy at this moment. You beat, stab, and shoot Gannon Stauch. You clean up the mess. You move his body. You lie about it. Come up with 20 different ways to talk about it. And then what happens? You drive the body all the way to Florida, dump it, then go, try to look for an apartment, then go ultimately to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Then on your way back, you try to escape. Does that sound like somebody that just can't form the mental requisite intent or is suffering from that?
No, that's
No.
not. That's why I thought that. I was just like, it just seems like there's no case. That's personally, I guess technically, but it's the weakest case I've seen, I think, ever.
But you have to remember, the defense hasn't even presented anything yet. So we have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But the defense is not exactly fighting anything tooth or nail. Now, some of the stuff, business records that they were putting today when I was watching for a bit, what can you do with that? It was cell phone records and things of that nature. But, every time I'm watching that thing, the defense attorneys are sitting off, kicking back, rocking in their chair. I know they're doing their job. There's only so much they can do. But when your defense is it was an affirmative defense, which is, I did it. Yep. Everything they say, yep, I did it. But I was justified in it, right? Because when you think about the charges, this is what I always have to explain to people. They have to show where the crime took place, state of Colorado. What was the offense? Murder in the first degree. Who's the victim? Obviously, that's Gannon in this particular situation. But then it's ID, identification. Who did it? Kind of a no-brainer on this one. And when you admit the offense, the elements of it, basically what you're doing, saying, yeah, I did it, but I'm justified. Because under the law, prosecution is saying that you did this unlawfully, which means without legal permission or justification. She's saying, well, I was justified because I was crazy under the law.
Yeah.
So we're going to withhold judgment. We're going to wait and see how things turn out, but I don't think it's going to go well for Letecia Stauch. But remember, she's just got to get one juror to hang and they'll do it all over again.
That's true. Well, I agree with you. Thank you so much, Scott. I got to get back into work.
All right,
Scott. Thank you so much, Mr. Rice. I got to get back into work. Have a wonderful night.
Thanks for calling.
Yep. Thank you for answering.
Got a quick super chat.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. When she is, this one's not showing up, but when she is convicted, does it make Chad's case more difficult? Would he be likely to change his plea? Well, you have to remember, assuming Lori Vallow is convicted, I mean, and I at this point, they really haven't presented any evidence that I think is so, and maybe it's just my defense hat is sticking on here right now, but I mean, they really haven't presented that many witnesses. They've shown that they found the bodies, but they haven't really said why they believe, let's assume that Alex Cox is the one that did it. But will this make it more difficult? A little bit, because people will already know that Lori Vallow was convicted, if she's in fact convicted. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, if that turns out. More than likely, she probably will be under some sort of complicity theory or conspiracy theory. She can be found guilty even if Alex Cox is the one that did it. What you can see or listen to from the defense is they're trying to say, these guys are so gullible. What is it, Zulema or Zulima? I get more crap about my pronunciation of stuff. Tomato. Okay, just go with it. We all knew who we're talking about. Alex Cox's wife. He's on the stand. Oh no, he wouldn't have done anything without Lori and Chad's direction. Oh really? Because you're so in touch. What were you married like a week or something? Short marriages. I mean, this whole crew. I mean, what a bunch of naive people they are. Let's just call it for what they are. Naive. To think that, hey, I've been sitting around studying and I've come up with this chart. And I'm the one that can tell who's good, bad, dark, light. And there's darkness over here. And darkness just happens to be everybody that's kind of really interfering with my new, Chad Daybell, his new gig. I mean, wouldn't you love to know what Tammy thought of all this stuff? She's probably like, Chad, you're an idiot. Do you really think this stuff? And then he's got this, little groupie like, oh my God, you're so intelligent, Chad. You're so intelligent. Oh my God. Hey, you know what? You're my queen. Really? I'm your, oh, we're going to survive. I mean, this is like Lord of the Flies or something. They're going to come up with their own thing, so to speak. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Now, in all honesty, and I think I've mentioned this before, I had a case several years ago where I represented a bunch of doomsday cultists. And, the doctors will tell you, just because you have extreme beliefs one way or the other doesn't make you crazy. It just means that you extremely believe what's going to take place. Now, I'm not really sure why it is. I mean, my brief experience with doomsday cultists, but why is it always the children that end up dead? Why is it always the children that end up dead in these things? All right. And in my doomsday cultist case, I liked my client. He was a very religious man, not of one particular religion, but of all religions. He was very well read, and he just truly believed that the world was coming to an end. And it was a sign. This was the sign. And so they believed it. And everybody else looked at him and said, is that the sign? And they all responded, we think that's the sign. And so they went into this doomsday mode, and they were going to, put all their food off to the side because they're not going to need that, or maybe the portal. And why are there always portals? Okay. We had portals too in my little doomsday case. It wasn't a little doomsday case. It was a big deal. particularly to the 2 deceased children, and obviously to my client as well. Now, I would note that everyone else got convicted of murder, except for the guy that testified. And then there was my guy as well, who did not get convicted of murder. He got the lowest sentence. And I think that'll ultimately, we'll see. Anyway, because it was a thing where they couldn't tell how any of the children died. They couldn't say by whose hands. Some guy that was looking to get a deal for himself was like, I think they was starvation. And no doctor could testify that. They brought in all these people to testify to hair follicles and things like that. Did they starve them to death? What did they do? All those types of things. They couldn't figure it out. And, the jury was they were like, we don't care. We got 2 dead kids. Somebody's guilty. Got to do it. So what do you do? What do you do, right? But it's always the kids that die. Why is there all these doomsday cults? Portals, dead children, and doomsday. Okay? That's going to be my advice for the day. Someone starts telling you the world's going to come to an end. I mean, the world may be turning into a cesspool. Sure, I get that. But I don't think it's going to end. It's been here for billions and billions of years, and we've only been here for 5,000 of it, something along those lines. I don't think that we have anything to worry about. I think we're going to be okay. Okay. We've had ice ages. We've had warming periods. We've had meteors hit it. You don't mess with Mother Nature. You're not going to change it. You just got to adapt to it. That's simply it. But if somebody comes to you and says the world's coming to an end, run. If they say, would you like to look at my portal? Run. Okay. And particularly if there's small children around, get them out of there. Run. Just saying. Okay. It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Why people do it, but they do. And I think it's because they want something to hang on to. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they want something bigger than themselves. I mean, maybe this was Lori's claim to fame, right? She's now a goddess that speaks to Jesus Christ and knows who's good and bad and is going to be leading at the side of Chad Daybell, this all-knowing individual. It's kind of ironic if he was all omniscient and all-powerful. He couldn't have prevented this from coming? Yeah, that's the part that they never forget about. Remember asking these doomsday people. Well, if you guys could see so far into the future, you realize everything you said was coming to an end didn't come to fruition. You know you were wrong, right? Well, yeah, but that was just the first sign. It's like some people, no matter what you do, you'll never convince them to change their mind. They just keep moving the goalposts. This was the goal. Well, we just need a little bit more. Oh, I mean, remember when everyone says the world's coming to an end? They always get it wrong. They always get it wrong. I don't know. All right. Do we have another call, Frank? I thought we had another call.
Yes.
All right. We have another call. Hello.
Hi, this is Sally Vallow, and I'm calling from Southern Illinois. And my question was about the highest court in the United States, the Supreme Court, has done an investigation on Clarence Thomas and has found that he has been corrupt and accepting bribes for the past 20 years. And I wanted to know what your opinion on that, since that is the top of our country's check and balancing system, and how that behavior, corruption, has also maybe tainted his 20-year decision on the Supreme Court.
Well, great question. And for those people that do not know, there was a report, I think it came out in last week's Wall Street Journal, that Clarence Thomas has a friend, and this friend is a billionaire. And the billionaire lets him borrow his jet and its yacht. And Justice Clarence Thomas did not put that on his financial disclosures. I think they have to disclose anything over about $50 that they receive in gifts. And there was something to the effect that this guy also bought Clarence Thomas's mother's house or his house years ago, I think in Georgia or Alabama. And then his mom continued to remain in the house. So let me tell you what I think is going to happen. Zip, zilch, zero, nada. Clarence Thomas has already come out and said that, oh, it's just a mistake. I was going on the advice that I was given. This is a close friend. He didn't have any business before the court. What, you mean I can't have friends that have nice things? That's basically the position. But he was going to modify those disclosures. I don't think he'll be doing it again. But let's face it, nothing's going to happen. Show me anyone in Washington, D.C. that gets charged. I mean, we have obviously Donald Trump in state court. Could Clarence Thomas resign because somebody thinks he violated his ethics? I doubt it. Those judges are under constant pressure to quit, resign. They look for every little thing that they've ever done. I don't think anything bad is going to happen to Clarence Thomas. It probably didn't affect anything that he ruled upon. His judicial philosophy was pretty entrenched even long before he got to the Supreme Court. But he should have disclosed it. I totally agree. And this is what is wrong with government. People get into government, and their goal is not to serve and help the people. Okay? You want to talk about elephants in the room? Let's talk about elephants in the room. People go into public service to get in there so that they can loot the treasury and enrich their friends. Bottom line. That's it. There are no virtuous politicians. There are no virtuous judges that go there for, I'm doing it for the common good. I'm doing it. No, they're doing it for the steady paycheck and the cushy retirement down the road. To say it's for public service, are you kidding me? No. All these judges do book deals, just like state court judges get to go teach, ethics courses or trainings for CLEs. They go teach at the universities at night for extra dough as well. There's nobody virtuous in government. You can't convince me otherwise. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. Maybe it's just because of the work that I've done, and I've dealt with so many people in the government, and I've said this before. Nobody in the government gets up and says, boy, you know what? Those people really deserve to have their rights expanded upon. They don't do it. They get up every morning and say, wow, how can we get around the First Amendment? How can we get around a search and seizure? That's what they get up and do every morning. Show me a case where you think you got a virtuous politician, and I will show you a scammer. Most of them are narcissistic, probably bordering on some sort of sex offenders, and a lot of them have drinking problems as well. They've convinced their family to stick together so that there's going to be some reward down the road. And they all think they hang out with the cool kids clubs, and they're all useful until they're no longer useful. But the reality of it is nobody charges anybody with any crimes because, well, they all know everybody's dirty little secrets. Does that answer your question? So I don't think anything's going to happen to Clarence Thomas, just like nothing happens to anyone in Washington. And we could go.
Well, I could see why they're trying to take away our Second Amendment, because it was brutal, honest truth. And hearing someone else say what you think all the time. And did you know most politicians are or were attorneys? So that was disappointing too.
Yes.
To hear yours.
Yes. And a lot of them are attorneys, right? And I bet if you go back and you look at most of them, they've never practiced in an actual court of law. They go to law school because they want to get into policy work and they want to change the world one way or another. They do that. It's all part of their big plan. I knew people in law school that had their entire career planned out. I'm going to go to law school. I'm going to become a district attorney. I'll probably do that, get a little private practice experience, maybe run for DA, maybe try to get appointed as a judge, and then maybe move on to higher office down the road. They have their careers planned out. Just like I saw guys in the military. It's like, dude, you're a lieutenant and you've already have your career mapped out to general. Like, really? But that's what people do. So, you have to understand, and they write these laws the way they write them, vague enough that nobody really knows what it means, right? Go talk to a tax attorney. Can I do that? Well, I don't know. It just depends. They write it so that it's vague enough so that the people writing the laws can push the limits and not get in trouble. And I don't care whose side you're on, but you really think Nancy Pelosi and her husband are the greatest stock traders of all time? No, they're trading on insider information. But they don't get charged and arrested for that. And yet nobody seems to act like it's a big deal. Oh, listen, if I'm telling you, think about it. Look at all the politicians. They go to loot the treasury and enrich their friends, and they all leave poor, or they all start out poor, and they all leave millionaires. Obviously, there's a few that are wealthy. And frankly, I'd rather have that. But I just think while you're there, you should work for $1 a year. You put everything in a blind trust. So whatever you got, it's going to be there the exact same way when you get done serving public office. And maybe there'd be a little more incentive for people to leave Washington than stick around. So anyway, that's enough politics there. Just saying.
Well, thank you very much, Scott. I really enjoy your show.
All right.
And you guys are doing a wonderful job on the trial. Thank you.
Thanks for calling. All right. Got me all fired up, but seriously, you can't talk law sometimes without talking about politics because the people that write the laws are such bumbling idiots most of the time. And it's why there is so much litigation going on, whether it's in civil courts or criminal courts, because they write crappy laws. The legislature writes crappy laws. They're like, well, it's a crappy law. We know it's a crappy law. We'll probably have to come fix it down the road. But, it's our law and we got to do something. I mean, our system's supposed to be divided government. It's supposed to move slow. That was the whole point of it. Right? Look at the states that have legislators that are in session full time, right? New York, California. Why is the state so? Because you got a bunch of busybodies. What is it, like Montana, Texas? They only meet every 2 years. So they don't feel like they have to do something for every hot button issue that comes up. Just saying. I don't know. It's not that difficult. You create laws. Don't harm people. Don't kill people. Don't take other people's things without their permission. That covers about, probably 90% of it. Don't do terrible things to children. Don't do terrible things to women. Bottom line. That's it. It just drives me crazy. But they got to come up with a law for everything, and it just creates more trouble. We got a case right now where there was a law, and it was found to be unconstitutional because it was poorly drafted. Supreme Court said, you blew it. You have to use the plain meaning of the words, and it's void for vagueness. So the legislature, in their wisdom, said, well, we really like that statute. So we're going to take the exact same language of those other statutes that we like, and we're going to put them up here in the statute that was void for vagueness by the Supreme Court, and then we'll make that our offense. Well, you can't just change the law to add more penalty to it by putting up the same elements. That's multiplicious. It's duplicious. But that's what they do. And of course, we're going to challenge it. And I'm sure the lower court judge is going to say, oh, Mr. Rice, you really think I'm going to find this unconstitutional? That's for people way above my pay grade. I expect you to say that, Judge. I get it. Whatever. So it's just and okay. Someone said I take exception because my dad was a politician and he's now deceased. Sorry for your loss. And he was always there for his constituents. Okay. Did he? Maybe he's the exception to the rule. There's always an exception to the rule. I'm sure your father was great. Sue Pickett. I'm a retired teacher. One of my students said they were going to sue me. I said, get in line. Junior high school, because I fussed at him for talking in class. We're too litigious. I mean, we really are. And this is coming from a lawyer. Okay. And it's not like you want a confrontation? You want to fight? Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. But it is just carried away. And everybody acts like it is just, what's the word I'm looking for? Like they come up with something new. I mean, you think we've been dealing with these problems? No, everything new today is not new. It's just repackaged. That's all it is. Go back in history. It's all the way it is. People thought the printing press was going to destroy the world. The internet is going to destroy it. Same crimes, just different medium. That's all it is. All right. So we got Lori Vallow. I believe Frank has told me the audio is up, which is probably why I saw a few people leave our little chat here. But I still want to hear what you have to say about Lori Vallow's case. Is there anything that we haven't heard already, other than maybe how Tammy Daybell died? Nothing new. When are we going to get to the good stuff, prosecutor? Ms. Blake? Mr. Wood? Let's get to it. And I'm not really sure what the defense is doing. I really do not know what the defense is doing. I mean, they're not going NGRI, or because it really doesn't exist there, but if they prove that she has mental disease, she can go there at sentencing. They're just kind of going along with it. I mean, I was just very disappointed in the opening. Like, your opening statement in a case, particularly one of this magnitude, I mean, the prosecution was okay, but they got all the good facts, right? But give us something to look forward to. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear some people that, you know what, they were a little crazy. They kind of fell for some stuff. And, it's like, joking around, talking about you're going to go rob a bank. You don't really expect anybody to go do it. We should go rob Fort Knox. You don't think some knucklehead's actually going to go do that. And then when they do it and they say, well, bad things happened, but they're one of the ones that made me do it. I don't know. I'm a simple guy. Like I said, I think the prosecution should have to prove, just like in the game of Clue, for example, who did it, where, what was the instrumentality, the cause of death, cause and manner of death, and they have to be able to say who exactly did it. We haven't seen anything as it relates to the conspiracy, the agreement. It's more like this hint and a nod, hint, hint, wink, wink, nod, nod. Those children, sure, life would be easier if they weren't here. Alex, hint, hint, you know what to do. Hint, wink, wink, right? I mean, to say that's a conspiracy, I mean, I know there's been some evidence that goes a little beyond that, but what the hell, man? I just don't get it. And maybe it's just me. It's just always been the way I am, where you just kind of question authority. I don't take anyone's word for anything. Trust but verify. That's what you have to do. Did you do that? Yeah. Yeah, Julie R. said asphyxiation is what Chad's wife died of. Yeah, that's the only thing that's new. We talked about that. But anything else? Nothing. I don't know. Too many kids was the Wi-Fi password. Yeah, I get it. But maybe that's just somebody in the moment saying, man, there's too many kids running around here. Too many kids. You know, in the famous words of Sigmund Freud, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Sometimes that's, you know, too many kids as a password means that's what it was. I've seen passwords because that's the way they were feeling that day. Screw this, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't mean they're going to go harm somebody. That's just the way it is. And then it's stuck. What's this? Scott, we have to look into that in Oklahoma. Can you imagine hearing people who run the city and the sheriffs or police chief talk about killing you for reporting the news about the town? It wouldn't surprise me. They turn into little cabals. They don't want their little fiefdom to be exposed, right? Sure, the virtuous politician simply, does what they're going to do. And, sure, his brother-in-law just happened to buy that property where they're going to put that new train system right through the system, or it's going to be condemned and nobody's going to pay anything but top price for that. I mean, it's just coincidence, right? I mean, listen, they went after Trump. I think it's a unique legal theory, not to get into politics, but he'll probably get convicted. It'll go up on appeal, and I anticipate that it would probably be reversed at some level. When you're charging, misdemeanors into felonies and extending the statute of limitations based upon a unique theory that literally has never been done before, kind of a stretch. But it's got to go through the process. Sucks for Trump, but when you keep telling people, come get me, they're going to come after you. That's just the way it is. He's got all the other stuff about the documents. I'm sure they'll try to indict him for that as well. But then you got to do something about Biden. I'm not going to indict him as he's a sitting president, but maybe you can indict him afterwards. Oh, that's right. We aren't supposed to really indict presidents for that. Then you got all the stuff about Hunter, the most unqualified man in the world, getting paid big money and money laundering it through family members. Once again, nothing's going to happen. Statute of limitations is going to come and go. They're investigating it. Really? If they were investigating it, this would have taken about 3 months. They've had his laptop for 2 years. They've known about it. I don't know. Calling me skeptical of the ladies and gentlemen. Calling me skeptical. All right. Well, the audio for the Lori Vallow trial is up. I encourage you to go listen to that. We're going to jump over to our Patreon show. If you haven't already become a Patreon, come join us, and we will see you there in just a few minutes. Thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk.